Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. Full Force Weekly. Although, you ready? Sorry, it's been a day already. It's just technical issues. I'm swimming in them. We've started late. Sorry, Pat.
That's okay. It happens. I was ready to start at 1. We're starting a little bit earlier anyway. It's fine.
We'll be doing a separate episode with Justin for the movie stuff because there's been a lot of each. But for now, you've got Pat and I getting on with the news. So, Pat, should we get stuck into the news then, mate, this week and ignore all the technical issues going on?
Seems like there's plenty to talk about, so let's get going.
First up, and in Retro Wave 4 news, once again the G.I. Joe Retro product makes an appearance at retail before any official reveal. Yes, the 2 new figures in Wave 4, Stalker and the Cobra Trooper, were spotted at a Walmart in Indiana by Jeffrey Lull last week. In fact, it was moments after we'd recorded our our stuff for the Fan First Friday, so thanks for the timing on that. Before Hasbro even had a chance to reveal them. Haley from Hasbro did mention that the new Retro Wave would be revealed at Walmart's CollectorCon soon during the Fan First Friday event, but no sooner had she mentioned that than pics of the 2 brand new figures popped up on socials. It looks as though Stalker is a new build entirely, and the Cobra Trooper shares a lot, if not all, the same tooling as the recent Retro Fang pilot figure. Pat, thoughts on these 2 figures then, buddy, if you could?
Well, actually...
He has them!
I have them, yes. They're already... Well... keep my figures bagged so I don't lose all the accessories. But yeah, they're right here. So I was actually able to do a little bit of comparing already to some other things. The interesting thing is that, yeah, the Cobra Trooper is the same sculpt in the arms and legs as the Fang Plowlet. Yeah, we'll call him the Flang Plowlet from now on. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. Cobra Trooper is the same sculpt as the Fang Pilot.
I believe it's pronounced Clobra. I believe it's pronounced Clobla Trooper as well. So try and get that correct.
I'll try to get that right.
Yeah,
I'll try to correct myself next, and put that on the stand as well.
What would the L stand for in Flang, by the way?
No, I mean,
what was it? Was it fully automated negator gyrocopter? Was that what it was called originally?
I think so. Yes.
Fully less automated. Sorry, carry on. You were saying.
The interesting thing I found, though, whenever I actually compared these figures, because it is just the arms and legs that are the same sculpt. The Cobra Trooper is a different head, torso, web gear, and helmet than the Fang Pilot. But what's weird is that they're not actually the same mold. And I don't know if this may be an indication that they changed things on one of the 2 figures, and maybe there's a variation out there that nobody has found or mentioned.
You hope. But your fingers are crossed on the variation, aren't they?
Yeah, especially since I can't really see the feet from the bottom of the Cobra Trooper package. And I don't know how I would be able to tell these apart in the package. It'd be very difficult. I would end up just buying a bunch of them, opening them and hoping, which I did quite a lot with the Retaliation 3-packs. Those were quite frustrating, trying to find the way that they'd changed. The holes in the feet. The Fang Pilot has the holes in his feet up toward the front of the foot.
I see.
But the Trooper has them in the heel.
So weird. This is like an episode of Articulated Points, by the way.
Yeah, well, thank you. But yeah, it's very strange. I don't know why that change would have happened in the sculpt of them. Maybe it may be that they actually have separate tooling for the 2 different figures. And just used the same sculpt for both of them. I'm thinking that may be the case, that it would be, some of this may actually be all on one mold. So it may be that the mold that houses the Fang Pilot torso would actually have just different feet for whatever reason. And
it's weird though, isn't it? That isn't very, like, you know, monetarily, like, financially effective or what's the word, efficient, is it?
Yeah, you know, for years we really clinged on to the thought that if there was a mold made for something, that was a very expensive step, and that meant that toy really should come out at some point. I think that it's closer to the truth to say that if a mold exists for something, that all of the costs prior to that existed, and so therefore it would make sense for them to release the item. So really, a lot of those costs of sculpting and everything like that seems to be what we were worried about a long time ago when we really talked about those molds. But anymore, it really seems like, especially with some of these variations, that you can tell that a new mold was changed just to change up a neck on the 25th line.
Yeah.
It really seemed like they were making new tooling somewhat regularly, or were modifying things on the fly a lot. Things like the fact that Strato Viper's neck between the vehicle that one of them came with and the 7-pack, it was not the same because it was modified for a different figure. Then rather than modifying it back, they changed the helmet to fit the new shorter neck. I don't know. There's just been a lot of small things that I've noticed that made me go, I don't know how they would have used the same tooling. They would have either had to have modified it greatly,
yeah,
or just had a new one. And I think in a lot of cases, it's just, you know, the runs aren't as large as they were in the 80s.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
True.
So I think that some of that stuff, yeah, it seems expensive and weird, but I don't know. It seems like I don't know enough about the topic myself to really understand why they would be spending it that way.
I don't believe that for a second. You know more about the topic than anyone I know.
Observation, though. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just me remembering some of the details and trying to fit all those details into anything that makes sense to me. That's really all.
Yeah.
But Stalker has them in his heels as well.
Well, let's talk about the Stalker figure, because that is like pretty much brand new tooling all across the board, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I actually really like the Stalker figure. I definitely like him a lot better than the Cobra Trooper.
Yes,
I think the use of the arms and legs from the Fang pilot didn't really benefit the Cobra Trooper so much.
Doesn't benefit the Fang pilot. The Flang pilot at all.
Flang pilot, yeah, is not benefited by it either. Yeah, but Stalker actually, it's a pretty good figure. There's actually a cut at the top of the hip, much like the Fang pilot had and the Cobra Trooper.
Yeah.
There's additional articulation right at the top of the hip here that, to be honest, like, it's not really obvious whenever you just look at the figure.
Yeah.
You can't get it in focus there.
I did notice in certain images of the figure, but I thought when I initially saw it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it's an additional bit of articulation. That, to me, is progression, but there are other aspects of it that feel a bit like regression in a sense. Have you actually compared this particular Stalker with any of the previous or the most recent 4-inch modern versions?
I actually have not. I've not taken the time to do that.
I mean, off the top of your head, though, do you think it's better or on a level? I mean, what are the comparisons off the top of your head can you think of?
I would say that it's getting back to some of that level, which is not really a fun way of putting it. Because I really thought that whenever they hit Pursuit of Cobra, they were just at this stride where the human proportions were so good. The articulation was really great.
That was amazing.
And then everybody opens up this Fang pilot and it's like, well, this is weird because I don't feel cheated out of articulation, but things on him like the skinny wrists and relatively large hands are weird. And then they have this boot cut here where the angle on it's kind of strange and there feels like there's a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
But with Stalker, I honestly wasn't sure there was a boot cut until I actually spun the leg. So if you don't like that articulation, it's relatively well hidden this time.
That's really cool, yeah.
And the wrists are a lot better. So
yeah, it definitely seems like it's an improvement from the Fang pilot, the Stalker figure, but it's still got some way to go before it hits Pursuit of Cobra levels.
Yes, I would absolutely agree. But I would also say that I really like the fact that this is another commando sweater sculpt. There's something about the Pursuit of Cobra stuff that the multitude of times that I saw the shock trooper used and the Snake Eyes used.
Watch one of our figure subscription battles and you'll hear Adam talk about the shock trooper parts every single time.
Yeah, so it's just very nice to have a different sculpt. It's not quite where they were at that time for sure, but it's definitely leaps above what we already got with this Fang pilot. I would say Stalker is a definite must-buy for somebody buying 4-inch G.I. Joe. But, you know, in terms of if I'm just going to rate this as a quality action figure, I don't think that it's as good as, say, the Pursuit of Cobra. Or was that 30th? No, that was Pursuit of Cobra.
Yeah. There was also a Stalker in the Resolute set as well, wasn't there, which was fairly recent with the dreadlocks.
Yeah, that's true. But that was at the Resolute Snake Eyes body, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a good quality figure, too. The plastic T-bar still kind of stands out to me for some reason. When I'm moving these legs, you can kind of feel that difference in resistance.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's going to snap or that the leg is going to pop off. So they've done a nice job with it. I will say that the one weird thing, and maybe this is for swapping parts in the future, though for what we just talked about,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the case. I noticed immediately on the Fang pilot that there's a waist swivel as well. In addition to the mid-torso joint underneath the chest, there's a waist swivel. And Stalker, I was having a little bit of problems getting the gear to go down. He almost was getting that hovering
secondary. Yeah.
And the issue is that where the belt goes down, it meets with a joint between the chest and the waist. But I'm not able to turn that. So I don't know why that's kind of a
hindrance.
Two separate pieces, but yet it doesn't spin. And until I really pushed down Stalker's waist and got it used to that, it was hovering a bit. And with the Cobra Trooper, it's almost more of an issue. I really can't get his shoulder straps to sit flush with his arms because they're right there on top of that joint. That, you know, I missed it whenever we went to the 25th figures. That spot where if you were customizing them, you could easily take the lower half off and put it with the upper half. So it's a nice addition, but I'm hoping that they make sure that this web gear goes around it.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, well, that's Retro Wave 4 in massive detail, thanks to the Articulated Points episode we just ran there with Pat.
I think that I just pretty much rambled on and probably would have edited out most of that. I'll
probably just cut that entire section. Of course not. I don't cut anything out. Right, let's move on then, and keeping in the retro wave. In Retro Wave 5 news, yes, in addition to the sneaky Retro Wave 4 reveal, HISSTANK reported on a possible 5th wave of retro figures based on UPC codes found on the Walmart app. A lot of people have been asking where the 3rd figure for this wave is, but I don't believe there ever was one planned. Based on the coded words and info that has come out, including no indication of a 3rd figure on the back of the card, it looks as though Stalker and Cobra Trooper will be it for this particular wave, and 2 more will closely follow in Wave 5. We're also aware of another vehicle to come in the line, which will most likely be revealed during that Walmart online CollectorCon, or they'll just appear in stores after we've recorded this. Pat, Retro seems to be chugging along nicely. Are you excited for more figures and vehicles in the line?
At this point, yes. Honestly, whenever I saw the Shouting Duke figure, I was so disappointed in the Retro line. And honestly, whenever I heard the name Retro line, I know that I wanted O-Ring Joes. So it was a little weird that they didn't call this, G.I. Joe the Vintage
Collection. Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
Keep with the way that the Star Wars terminology is, so that I would have known what to expect. But I will say that for the leap in quality between the Cobra Trooper and Stalker, because it does feel like Stalker is the newer design of these.
Yeah.
That moving forward, if we can get more things like if the line carried on for a long time, even at the quality of Stalker, I would be happy.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying there, because proportionally it looks good. It works as an action figure. It's a nice design. I feel that as well. I think that's totally acceptable in my opinion too.
I feel like the high bar was set with Pursuit of Cobra, but not the not the acceptable bar. The acceptable bar is somewhere well below Pursuit of Cobra. Is, you know, still a really great action figure. You can make a great figure, and it doesn't have to be quite that good. But this is a really good figure, and I do kind of like I like the knife. If you point it up, it looks just like the original designed figure.
Dope.
Anyway, yeah, I'm at this point now. I feel a little bit more energy within myself, hoping to see what they reveal for the Collector Con. I really hope that they don't just reveal these two figures and say, look for them soon.
It's very likely, isn't it? I mean, I think that we do this a lot where, you know, our expectations are set when we know that certain things are coming, and we've known about the retro wave code words. At least we've known that they've been on the horizon. They've been coming. Retro wave 4 and wave 5 has always been a separation in terms of dates that we've known about. So it's very likely that the plan all along was to reveal retro wave 4, and they just got out into stores too soon. I don't know the reasoning behind that, or like the who's not necessarily an error, but like why they weren't revealed during that kind of, you know, that little Yojo June Fan First Friday. Maybe they had plans to reveal them a bit later in the month, you know, just to spread out the reveals. Who knows? But it seems weird that, because it didn't feel like Walmart were purposely putting them out before they should have been out. Like, otherwise they'd have, you know, they wouldn't be able to sell them. You know, that would be the issue.
Yeah, they certainly have a street date system in place. I know that for Star Wars stuff, I've walked in there and tried to buy it, and they went, "Oops, we weren't supposed to have that out yet." No, in Target's great at not allowing us to buy toys on street dates. Walmart certainly can do it. It didn't seem like that was the case at all, that it was street dated. And this isn't a situation where something has been, you know, stolen from a factory, or images have been shown online.
It's in store. It's official. It's retail. Yeah,
they've already officially released them. So I hope that if the plan was to reveal these for the Walmart section of Collector Con, that Hasbro goes to Walmart and goes, "Hey, you already kind of sold them, so how about we show something else?"
Yeah.
You know, but who knows? Maybe they won't be able to do that if the Wave 5 stuff isn't far enough along. I can't imagine how that would be the case. It's just very strange. I mean, they could have probably shown these to us, like a long time ago, because clearly approvals for the designs had to have already happened quite some time ago. They were already manufactured, shipped during this difficult time of shipping, hit stores, and a lot of people have these already.
Yeah, that's very true. In fact, I've got some on the way already as well. But what I find, I find that kind of interesting. But again, our expectations are raised due to that, aren't they? Because we're thinking, right, well, we'll be seeing those two, we'll be seeing the next two figures, we'll be seeing vehicles. It's very likely that Walmart Collecticon will just be the two figures we know of, Stalker and Cobra Trooper, and possibly a vehicle. Again, like, we are aware that there are a couple more vehicles on the horizon, in actual fact. You've heard it here first. But we, you know, in terms of like the, you know, of our expectations, it's very likely that we'll only see Stalker and the Cobra Trooper officially revealed in much the same way that Major Blood was officially revealed. You know, again, hit stores, and everyone has him in multiples, and then Fan First Friday, let's talk about Major Blood. It's like, we don't need to. Everybody has seen this figure in hand, but, you know, it was all well and good. Like, I'm glad they did I'm glad Lenny did talk through some of those details, you know, backstory and all that kind of stuff. But it does make me laugh sometimes when they're almost like a few weeks behind their own product. It seems very odd, that, to me.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're trying to make us not disappointed with the long wait. So they're probably planning on showing something whenever they think it's about to be in stores. But who knows how those boats and that distribution, it may be faster than expected sometimes, I guess. So, I mean, I guess I'm not going to complain for the fact that I already have them.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't terribly difficult to get and I'm thankful for that.
Who are you expecting in Wave 5? Just a couple of random guesses. One Joe, one Cobra. Who are you expecting?
That's a really good question. I guess Firefly, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. I think, like, I rather than say what do you expect, I should say what would you like to see? Because out of how hundreds and hundreds of characters, it's impossible to make that decision, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. So for the G.I. Joe, we'll go with Armadillo again, right?
Yes! Oh, well, you stole mine, so brilliant. I'm going to go with Ice Cream Soldier and Crystal Ball. They're going to be the next two. In fact, I would probably go, if I was a betting man, I would say those two definitely aren't going to see the retro line just yet. But in any case, that is Retro Wave 5 news. Let's move into a little bit of Hasbro job opportunity news, shall we? Hasbro have posted a job opportunity looking for an associate global marketing brand manager for G.I. Joe. That's a big title, and I mean that's a major position. It's all very generic at this stage, but effectively you'll be running the G.I. Joe brand in all facets. I won't read it all out on here, so please check the link to the posting in the description below and see if it's something that suits you. It's no surprise that Hasbro are looking to expand the team, having shifted the brand over to John Warden's side recently, as well as the semi-unexpected success, or at least the unexpected magnitude of its success in the toy lines and additional partner merchandise. It would be quite the job, and I wish whoever is fortunate enough to get it all the luck in the world. I say this joke every time, Pat, but will you be dusting off your resume for this one?
Well...
He's going for it. Oh, I thought you were going for it. I thought you were moving out to Rhode Island and you were going to be coming to live with Kate and I.
I was going to say you're already there, so I mean that's half the battle. Are you putting in for it?
Well, knowing is the other half, and I don't, unfortunately. So, so knowing is half the battle. Location is the other half.
Rhode Island is the other.
Yeah, being near Rhode Island. Yeah, I am not going for it because I just know for a fact there are people far more qualified than I. Plus, I don't have qualifications, unfortunately, in what they're looking for, and that always, even though it's not necessarily a game changer all the time, it does put me off. Especially when you look at the actual application and it states, this is what you will require, kind of thing. And I know sometimes there is a bit of flexibility on that, but again, I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't be confident going into that kind of meeting. That kind of interview, because as much as I know about G.I. Joe, it's completely different in a marketing world. I mean, you have to have marketing experience. I've had some marketing experience, but nowhere near the level necessary for what they would require for a brand manager. So yeah, I've already talked myself out of that. But I do know a few people that have gone in for it, so good luck to all of those who have gone in for it. I won't say your names out loud. Justin Bell wasn't one of them, so I can say his name. Yeah, that's a shame, Pat. We could. It would be great, wouldn't it? What a cool job that would be, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all kind of, myself included, I'm guilty of imagining what I would do in this position.
But it would change immediately, wouldn't it? As soon as you got there and realised, oh, it's far more involved than I thought it would be.
Right. And we all imagine, just the entire fantasy where you get this position and somebody higher up than you goes, do whatever you want and you have all the resources in the world.
It would be like...
Want to make 10 movies? Go right ahead. It would be 2 cartoons and a live action show, make it happen.
It would be brilliant, but also terrible at the same time, wouldn't it? Because I think when you just imagine the scorn and hatred poured in your direction every single day before you'd even done anything, before you'd even got into the office to start your job, it would just, and I'm not saying from people would be jealous, I mean as in it would just be the constant stream that's already happening of anger and I don't know, just negativity.
Yeah, I mean, just as we're doing this, there's probably somebody putting their keys down and stepping into their office and seeing, the full force is complaining about the
the flang plowlet
brakes on the Fang pilot.
Oh, great! You can say it now perfectly. But yeah, it's called the flang plowlet, and that's what we're going to call it from now on. That'd be great if that actually stuck and people did refer to it as that, but I don't think we have that kind of reach just yet. What more can we talk about on that? It's interesting, I suppose, that that this position is still available.
Yeah, I kind of wonder sometimes whenever I see these posted. I'm sure that even for as small as a staff as Hasbro seems to have pared itself down to having, that I would think that they would maybe have some people internally that would want this, but it almost seems like they post it externally just to get a large number of applicants. And I'll be curious to see who ends up in this position, if that's even something that they announced or that we find out.
Yeah, we usually do find out, but it's not like an announcement, is it? It's usually kind of like someone's done a bit of digging and it's like, oh, look on LinkedIn, this is the new associate, and it's like, okay, there we go. So yeah, I'm sure we'll find out eventually, and good luck to whoever gets it. And I hope, I've saw a few posts the other day of people saying you're going to need thick skin for this job. And I mean, most people that go in for those kind of jobs do have that anyway. So, good luck.
But it also means a bit of ramping up for G.I. Joe. You don't add somebody in this position unless you expect somebody to be in this position, because you're going to need them to do things for G.I. Joe for the foreseeable future. Very good point.
I do think there's a lot on the horizon too, because you've got films, we've got multiple films, we've got TV shows, we've got. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say animation because of the whole connection to E1 and the amount of projects they're working on that have been reported on. So it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. It's kind of there at the moment. In terms of like. I don't know. It's probably because we're in it. We're inside the bubble, as it were, of this fandom, and we're kind of living it every day. But it does feel like it's more broad, and the range is getting wider.
For sure. How often have you reported even on licensed items lately? So
well, good segue, Pat. Cracking segue. I'll cut you off there because it works just so well. Sorry. And in Super 7 news... Yes. Super 7 posted a G.I. Joe teaser image on their socials with a caption that read, Super 7 x G.I. Joe, July 15, 2021. This makes it pretty clear now that we will be getting Super 7 reaction figures very soon indeed. We don't know if more figures or even vehicles are planned as yet, but based on the listings leaked last week, it would appear as though the comic and cartoon will be likely sources of inspiration. I'm looking forward to seeing what Super 7 have done with these figures, and if they also plan to do anything else like Ultimates or more Super Cyborg figures like their Battle Android Troopers, but time will tell. The date is very likely a release date, so I imagine we will see reveals of the product much sooner, and almost certainly within Yojo June. If it is a reveal date, then expect a full release later in the year. Pat, very exciting news here. Now, we sort of knew what to expect to a degree, thanks to those leaks from last week, but what are your thoughts about this?
I have a lot of confidence in Super 7 as a company. I really do. I've enjoyed watching some of the Q&As with, is it Brian from Super 7?
Yes.
I can't remember. It was Brian.
It is Brian, yeah.
He definitely seems to have a passion for the things that he's talking about, and it shows with the way Super 7 has done some of the stuff that they're doing. They're willing to make that gigantic Thundercats Thunder Tank.
Crazy.
So
Armadillo and the Rolling Thunder, here we come.
Yeah, I'm hoping that G.I. Joe kind of gets something crazy and big, other than like the Bat, which has been very physically large. If they can fulfill any of the dreams of just something weird and cool that goes with some 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe, I will be pretty happy. I do wonder though, isn't this date of this announcement right about a week before San Diego Comic-Con?
I believe you're correct. So it could very well be a reveal that they're doing for SDCC, in which case you're probably going to get SDCC exclusives too.
Yeah, I would think so. Super 7 has always been very good at releasing some SDCC exclusives. So I could kind of see them planning on launching G.I. Joe with an SDCC exclusive. Maybe that won't happen, but it could be.
That's a really good point, actually. I definitely think in terms of like launch, reveal, etc., it's very likely that SDCC is the launch pad, shall we say, And that does make a lot of sense to do that too. Like in that case, and having said that, it probably would not necessarily mean that we'll see anything before then. But again, we may see reveals soon, and then, you know, the actual kind of like pre-orders and the actual release and SDCC is, you know, with exclusives. I think we could definitely see that too. At the moment though, what would your if you were a betting man, what would the likelihood be in that kind of layout? Do you think they're going to reveal stuff before this particular date that they've stated?
Well, I don't think they'll reveal things prior to that. I would think that we would get a reveal of maybe a wave or something.
Leak.
Yeah, something could leak. That's entirely possible. Although I haven't really followed the reaction line well enough to have noticed if people were aware of things prior to them being announced.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean, the last set that I really was paying attention to was probably Transformers. And with Transformers, they did a wave of them that was online that kind of flew under my radar as far as any sort of announcements.
Yeah.
So that's something also to look for.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. They kind of like, they did sneak out there, didn't they? Yeah.
Megatron and Stepper and Sound Blaster, and I saw those and went, wait a minute, where did these come from? And then I looked and it was just like an online wave.
I think Transformers in that, the kind of in the kind of G1 style works really well for reaction figures. I think they're really cute little figures. And I think that's mainly due to the fact that the kind of boxy elements of the actual transformation, you know, the designs kind of make it a little more interesting and appealing. I think some of the human figures can be a bit boring because they're just so, like, you know, straight down the line, and that, you know, in terms of articulation, there's very little going on. But I do think that Super 7 could do some really cool stuff and some really fun, cute things with the Sunbow cartoon, because, you know, we don't have to have like Sunbow classified figures, but I think, you know, Sunbow would work well in those kind of arenas with, you know, those kind of fun, cutesy little...
Fatal Fluffies is what you're saying?
Of course. Fatal Fluffies, the Spy from The Spy Who Rooked Me, the Viper, the Window Viper.
Yeah.
That he'd be quite an interesting character to do. Yeah, stupid, dumb, hilarious stuff like that. That's
probably the thing that I'm curious about most. You know, is the first wave going to include some crazy things, or is it going to be Duke, Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow?
Well, we kind of know the wave layout, don't we, a little bit? It's going to be a lot of Cobra Troopers with different... We assume different skin tones.
I guess we do already know that.
Quinn's in there.
Yeah, Quinn is in there, so that's definitely a good sign. It's definitely a good sign.
Yeah.
But I'm also expecting, like, one of the things Super 7 does a lot is glow-in-the-dark stuff. So my brain is going, well, what can they make glow-in-the-dark? The only thing I can think of is, like, radioactive, you know, the mass device Snake Eyes.
Genius!
But there could be some other glow-in-the-dark stuff that will fit as well.
Can they do orange glow-in-the-dark, or is glow-in-the-dark just the one color?
They actually released a Maria from Metropolis that was a glow-in-the-dark that was not green. And Super 7 glow-in-the-dark actually glows in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, the reaction figure that I had, the first one I had was...
Lit the room up. Is that when it lights the room up so bright that you can't sleep because it's literally just green, effervescent, like, floodlight everywhere?
No, not quite. The mummy that I got, this was whenever Funko was also involved, and it was almost the opposite of that. Like, get the brightest light that you have on it and shut your eyes, because if your eye's still adjusting, you're not going to see the glow in the dark for that brief second that it's still glowing.
Yeah.
But again, the Universal Monsters are probably one of the best examples of Super 7 taking over, because they redid them on their own, and those are great.
Yeah.
But anything that glows in the dark that Super 7 has released actually glows in the dark.
Brilliant.
You know, it does a really nice job. You can put just a little light on it, or leave it on a shelf, and, you know, the room lights will energize it a little bit to the point where you shut it off and you see them.
That's
you know, they're
amazing.
pretty cool. So
that's a great shout, though. The radioactive Snake Eyes. I'm thinking they might even do things like color change. So you know, that would be a good way to get kind of Zartan, Xandar, Zorana, getting them to kind of like change their color. That'd be really cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. Even a couple of different color changes methods, like, you know, you have like the water with temperature color change as well as in the sun. Of course, with Zartan, I want an In the Sun, but why not both?
Why not both? Exactly. Why not all of it? Just have everything on there. Glow in the dark as well, for goodness sake, Zartan.
Yeah, just toxic Zartan. How about that?
Hell yeah, like the Sigma 6 one.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. Right, okay, again, I'm excited to see what they do with this.
I'm hoping they bring on the wacky. That's all I'm asking out of Super 7.
It makes sense. It makes sense for them to do that because I don't think Hasbro necessarily will go in that direction with it. Which is, again, fine. And I think, it would be fun to do that. I know there's a lot of people kind of out there wanting different 4-inch figures, but honestly, that would be so much fun. I'd be well into that. And we can have both, it would appear, because we've got retro, we've got, I think, given time, the retro series might even find its feet in this new style, this new construction, this new build. And then we can have all these different options, which is great. And again, giving it time, I think, is the best scenario here, because people are too quick to jump in and go, no, I need this now. It's like, you're not going to get that particular character right now. Give it time and it will come. Look at the frigging classified line after a year. It's ridiculous how many characters they've done already. And that's in a pandemic. So, let's give it some time on this. Anyway, can't wait for that reveal. Let's move on to something that we already know about that's come out and hit stores again. Yeah, in construction sets news. So earlier in the week, an image circulated the internet, as it tends to do, showing a brand new officially licensed Forever Clever G.I. Joe Cobra Ferret construction set with a Storm Shadow minifigure. Following this random appearance, more images flooded the internet with the full lineup of these very interesting construction sets. A Rattler, Fang with Cobra Commander, HISSTANK and Night Raven were all seen for Cobra, as well as a Snowcat, Surveillance Patrol Jeep, Ninja Commando 4x4, Sky Striker with a green flight suit ace, and a Ninja Speed Cycle with Snake Eyes for the G.I. Joe team. The smaller sets are $3.99 and the larger sets come in at $6.99. They've been found in numerous Tuesday morning discount stores across the country, so keep your eyes peeled for these showing up. This was a fun surprise, wasn't it, Pat?
Yeah, a really fun surprise. I woke up, you were talking about them, and I put my shoes on and drove to Tuesday morning. That's literally what happened. That was my Wednesday.
Ironically, that was your Wednesday morning.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was not quite morning. I'd slept in quite a bit.
Okay, so you went to Tuesday morning on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm not sure how
Yeah, it was more of a Wednesday afternoon.
Amazing. I'm not sure how the time-space continuum can deal with something like that, but clearly it did.
I got there, I spoke with them. G.I. Joes haven't been there yet. So they're not everywhere just yet. I think that just as everything else, distribution chains, it may not everything's going to hit every store in the same day, but these I think they look like a lot of fun for $50.
Yeah,
because that's about what the entire collection appears to cost.
Amazing.
Judging from the box sizes, if these do show up at other stores, I don't expect them to be this low everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, because you've got a kind of 42 to 45 piece sets, haven't you, which kind of come in at that $3.99 level. Mm-hmm. And then the 100 pieces, which is definitely the Sky Striker. I'm guessing the Night Raven will be in that kind of mold as well. So $6.99 for them. Crazy cheap.
Yeah, really cheap. And some of them actually look pretty decent. I really am curious to see the Snowcat, because the ones out of these that I like the best are the Fang and the Ferret. But if you go back to the Creo line, I also liked that Fang and Ferret already. So really what I'm hoping is that some of this stuff can supplement those Creo things that we already have.
Yeah, it does say compatible with other building sets as well, doesn't it?
It does, and you have to kind of assume. I mean, it'd be a really jerk move to be like, I don't know what building sets. I'm sure it's compatible with something, and just put that sticker on there.
Yeah.
Whenever you say compatible with building sets or compatible with leading brand building sets, it had better be Lego.
Oh, yeah.
That has to be what we're talking about. So I'm sure that they are compatible then by transitive properties, also compatible with Creo. And I think they look good. Honestly, I think that the Sky Striker box just looks like a lot of fun. Like, I would like to have that box sitting next to me here.
Agreed, yeah. Yeah, it's nice they're using the classic art as well. Obviously, there's no, there was no classic art for the Ninja 4x4 or the Ninja Speed Cycle, so they just stuck Snake Eyes on the front. Two different versions of Snake Eyes, which I think is great and also quite hilarious. I mean, we do have that Ninja 4x4 artwork on the Retaliation box, but when I check the Speed Cycle, it ain't. No, you'd be using the Rock and Snake Eyes artwork from that box, which would not work very well.
Yeah, that would kind of stand out as not looking like it was the same toy line if they had...
Rock and Snake.
You know what? They changed the art for the ferret, didn't they? I haven't seen...
Yeah, they took Firefly off it.
Yeah, so if they were going to do that, we know that the art for the Striker is pretty much everywhere. So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just kind of do a quick change to that. But then I guess they would want to drop characters from the... Yeah, you know, that's a little weird too. The fact that those figures weren't included with the original ferret didn't stop them from being on the box.
Exactly.
So I wonder it's interesting they took the time to remove him.
I wonder if Hasbro mentioned that to them and said, like, can you just remove that on there? It's also funny, if you look at that art, they've kind of removed it, but then they've put, like... It doesn't look right because there's another like yellow explosion kind of design where Firefly should be, rather than it being white in that zone. It's like a double yellow rainbow almost. So it's quite funny that they've done that. But yeah, you know, I think they're cute. It's cheap. It's, you know, again, it's one of those things. I think it's going to be once you find them. Once they're out and kind of, you know, stocked well in stores, shouldn't be a difficult line to collect. And again, quite cheap to get the whole set for that price. I'm really looking forward to getting hold of them. But yeah, random, and I just thought we'd mention it, obviously, seeing as it was a pretty important.
Built any? Have you seen any pictures of any of it actually out of the box?
I think I'm going to shout out Matthew Matson, who did build some. I don't think I didn't see any pictures yet. He may have posted pictures, but he said that the quality isn't great. I didn't expect it to be, honestly, but you know, and I'm not sure about whether they fit in some of the figures either. The figures fit in some of the vehicles, because there was a bit of chat there about how are they going to fit on that ferret, but I guess like in a seated position, just kind of plonked on top. Maybe.
Well, I noticed that the ferret didn't have, because usually a Lego seat will actually have the pegs exposed, and that looked like you were covered over them to make it so the figure just kind of slides around on top. And then it made me wonder what the backs of the legs are like, because I don't know what these minifigures are really going to look like, because sometimes those boot Lego figures that I see people refer to them online,
nice.
They're not constructed exactly the same way as Lego figures, with those peg holes on the backs of the legs.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how similar the figures really are to Lego. They may be quite different. And sometimes the bricks don't always come apart. That's one of the great things about Creo, is that they paired with Oxford, which was an existing building block set in China, that they were able to make bricks that actually were able to be separated and that were flexible a little bit and that worked. So I'm really curious about these. I love the Creo line, so this is supplementing that for me.
Awesome. And I agree. I really enjoyed Creo. I was really sad when it kind of, you know, when it kind of died a death, really. But then again, most stuff does with the G.I. Joe line, just because it either doesn't have that time or that media backing it up at the time to kind of really go with it. But it feels different at the moment. I'm not saying these construction sets are going to take over from that, but I suppose we could be seeing Creo make a resurgence further down the line in the future. You never know.
I hope so.
It'd be great, wouldn't it?
I hope so. They had several waves shelved that were just ready to go. You know, we've talked about them on Articulated Points, and they were posted on Joe Declassified a long time ago with CoverGirl and, you know, the Hooded Cobra Commander. There's a bunch of them, but there was way more than that too that you could tell were reused. Like Barbecue was reused for the Slaughters Marauders one, but never came out as a standard figure in the regular version 1 colors. There's just a lot that could still be done with Creo. And if they ended up reissuing some things in the process, I would totally be there for Creo. But it's been so long since we've seen anything. Like, I think the last new Creo stuff was like 2016.
Yeah, they'd probably be doing something completely different, wouldn't they? They'd probably go a different direction entirely. Yeah. In any case, That is construction set news. And finally, in classified news... The Snake Eyes and Timber pre-order went up on Pulse at 1 PM EST on Thursday and surprisingly stayed up there for a significant amount of time. 31 minutes to be precise. Yep, I refreshed and checked every minute because I have no life. It would seem as though Hasbro have addressed quantity issues that plagued the previous waves, and I have no issues at all bagging a few of these awesome deluxe sets. How about you, Pat? Didn't you have a funny thing in that you didn't even know about the pre-order?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I saw you chatting about it, and I think I saw you say something like, I can't believe these things are still available. You know, so I was like, what are you talking about?
Mate, do you know what was funny? At that point, it was about half an hour in.
Yeah, it was. It was actually, I think it was like 1:20 something. And you said that. And I had been up, but I was dealing with a credit card issue with billing and some other things that were just, you know, me dealing with adult life. Exactly. So I saw you post that and I was like, what is he talking about? And then I saw that it was Snake Eyes. It was like, oh no. And I went to Pulse, I put it in my cart, and I clicked, you know, purchase, and then I'm seeing this circle go around and around. And then I hear another bling because you had sent another message. And then it said on my screen that the checkout was fine, and, you know, I was confirmed for one. And then I looked at what your message was.
Sold out.
They're all sold out.
Amazing. Pat bought the last Snake Eyes and Timber on Pulse. That is official. I think that is an official, definitely happened. Because it's I don't think there were many people. I think most people were on it early on. Also, they're still up for pre-order on Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, multiple different online retailers. I believe In Demand Toys still have them. So as well, this is not a difficult one to get hold of. You will find it, just not with Pulse necessarily right now. But what that tells me is that we're in terms of the standard classified figures, if they're not partner exclusives, you're actually pretty safe in getting them, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that this one for sure is going to show up in, like, I'm going to see this in Walmart or Target probably before my Pulse one shows up.
Oh, no,
I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that they're going to be out there. People are going to be able to find these. If you feel like you missed it, you really didn't.
Exactly. And also, I'm the same as you. I got them on Pulse. I got the 2 that I was allowed, and then I thought, oh, I should have got one from Pulse and then maybe one from one of the other places, knowing fully well that, you know, Pulse has been great. In actual fact, I've been really surprised at how good it's been as a web store. It does come in a lot of the time, latest possible time. But again, I'm not in a rush necessarily to have it like instantly. Like don't get me wrong, I'm always excited and want them in hand. But as long as I know it's coming, that it just puts me at ease. I'm like, I can relax now. I've got heavy artillery roadblock, that's sorted, happy. I've got Snake Eyes come in, great. I can just chill now until the Target pre-orders pop up. And we're like,
Yeah. Looking forward. Well,
fingers crossed.
I have that in my mind. Yeah, that's a date that I have to make sure that I'm online.
I'm pretty sure that the Target one is not going to be as comfortable, but I do expect to see them in stores in a little bit more quantity, in much the same way that we've seen tons of Major Bloods. My God, he's been, like, the amount of pictures I've seen with like loads of him on shelves. I just feel more confident that, you know, I won't be struggling to get the Breaker and Ram and the and barbecue figures.
Yeah, I feel bad for anybody who's not been able to find Major Blood, because I know that there's still a few people, but they're trickling around. Those are going to show up everywhere, and I don't think that
I'm swimming in.
I don't think that these are. Yeah, there's just one appeared right at your feet. Yeah, is that what happened?
Literally, I was like, oh, hang on, did someone say Major Blood? And it appeared like there it is.
Amazing. Another one.
I just pushed another one out of me. Hang on, there's another one here. There we go. I'll tell you now, it's covered in Major Blood. Anyway, let's move on quickly to shout-outs. Right then, Pat, it's time for shout-outs, buddy. I'll let you start again this time. got any shout outs for us?
I'm going to give a shout out to all my friends I'm going to see sometime soon at Joe Fest, including the people from the toy department. That is what I am eager to do.
Awesome. So you excited?
Yeah, you know, it always creeps up on me, so I am packing a little bit and kind of eager to get down there. Probably stop by the toy department before I go down. That's kind of what the plan is, you know, quite right now. But also Joe Declassified, and I'm hoping to maybe bring some things for that booth. Don't know how much space I will have, though, so we'll see. I'm eager for all of that. It's going to be fun. It's been a while since I've seen the toy department guys, the Declassified guys, and Roma Collectibles.
Yay.
Haven't seen them in a while either. So,
are you going to be picking up their little, was it Warlords of War Hydro Viper homage, the exclusive?
Maybe. Maybe. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying. I always tell myself that I'm not going to do a whole lot of spending whenever I go to a show. And then I end up spending, and it gets to a point where I'm just like, you know what? I already feel guilty. What's another $20 or whatever it may cost? So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I'm definitely getting one, but I'm having to have Aaron hold one back for me for when he comes back, and unfortunately, he won't be going.
I got the one that looks like Cobra Commander, so I like that figure quite a lot.
Yeah, I've got him. I've got Fridge. We've talked about this in the past, haven't we?
I think we did, yeah.
Last episode, in actual fact. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But mate, yeah, really, really cool that you get to see everyone again. Send everyone our love. It's been ages since I've seen some of these people. Like, it's legitimate amount of time. So.
But is there a time where I should be seeing you soon?
Good segue to my first. Well, it was on my first shout out. It will be actually my second shout out. But there is going to be, and I'll just move this to the front, just for segue's sake. Brian Sauer, obviously, he does all of our graphics. Big shout out to him. But he has actually been posting for Codename Iowa recently. Because they have just announced that Assembly Required, the 10th annual Iowa G.I. Joe convention, the in-person show, will be going ahead in Des Moines, Iowa on November the 6th this year. Yes, they are back, and it is going to be a Ninja Force theme. So if you've ever been to Assembly Required before, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then they basically construct a theme around each show. Last time, not last year, but last time... was Tiger Force, I believe. Was it that long ago? Blimey, it was, wasn't it? And
really?
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Because it wasn't last year. It was the
no,
year
it
before.
wasn't Tiger Force. Tiger Force we did prior to us doing the full run of the production.
It was Night Force.
So it was Night Force.
It was
yes.
Night Force. Apologies. Yes, it was. It was Night Force. 3 years ago was Tiger Force. Yeah, so in actual fact, yeah, like the last time they were in person, the 9th annual show was a couple of years back. Obviously, COVID, the pandemic, prevented it from happening last year. But it was an amazing show. Yeah, I was Night Force Lightfoot. And funnily enough, funny story, the night before it happened, I had appendicitis but didn't know what it was. So I was in agony all night. Like, didn't sleep. Kate, we were really worried. We were almost going to go to the hospital. Kate went out and got some painkillers, and I ended up just having a couple of painkillers, and it seemed to like pass and subside, right? Now, I didn't know what it was at the time. Just was like, it was just horrible, horrible pain, and kind of really screwed me up for the next day, exhaustion-wise. Got through it because I was so excited, whatever. Went back home. And then months later, it happens again here in Rhode Island. And I just like, right, I've got to go to the hospital. Went to one of the emergency places. They realised it was appendicitis, and I went straight in for emergency surgery. I'd never really talk about it, but had an emergency appendectomy. I talk about it all the time. But yeah, that was not a fun moment, I must admit. And obviously, it kind of did taint that evening before Codename Iowa, but I was going that long with clearly an issue with my appendix. I went like, it was months. It was like a whole year almost.
Yeah, I was going to say that definitely feels like it was way more than. Were you just taking painkillers the whole time?
No, I just had one load of painkillers that night, And
we're just that good. It lasted for months.
I'm that hard, mate. It just obviously the issue subsided to some degree, but it was like literally it was ready to go the night I had the issue. It randomly occurred. I had some dinner, and then we were just watching TV, and I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling great, with this pain, and it wouldn't go away. I went to the toilet, no, nothing. I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, we have gone way overboard on the description of assembly required, because that's what we're really shouting out here. And I'm probably not, by associating terrible physical pain with this show, it might put people off. But it is a great show. Assembly Required is brilliant. Pat will tell you all about it as well. How good is that show, mate?
Oh, it's so much fun. The art that goes into some of the stuff is just seeing it in person. You kind of want to. People actually have started collecting, the brochures and the various things that go out. Even just being there. I remember my first time going, and we stopped by the comic shop, which he was nice enough to have an ad for it, and the advertisement looked like the box from a mauler. The art was just very on brand for telling you that it's a G.I. Joe show while also being called Assembly Required. And how perfect of a name is that for a convention?
And especially the nature of the convention. You've got Joe Customs, you've got Joe Declassified, you've got the Full Force, you've got all of these different kind of connections with it, the Finest, all of these Roma Collectibles, toy department, etc., etc. Everyone kind of does their kind of shows up and does their thing. What is really interesting though is the fact that it's there's a lot of this, I don't know, like customizability to it. Like you get like loads of stuff, loads of random cool stuff that you put together. Like I know for the armor, he has the gear kits, and in part of the gear kits and one of the major captain level gear kits, you get like classified level size box style, cardboard kind of layouts and computer panels and all sorts of cool stuff that you can kind of make your own versions of. But there's a real kind of DIY element to it, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely professional quality, and there's always very family-friendly atmosphere going on as well.
Yeah, it's definitely more intimate than most of the big shows. Small, obviously, it's a smaller scale show, but I think that adds to the beauty of it, and the fact that there's the Saturday morning cartoons section, which we set up the big TV, and people go in and have cereal and cartoons, and it's brilliant, and it's the G.I. Joe cartoons mixed in with Action Force cartoons, mixed in with commercials, and we do like a whole all-day kind of thing that they're running in between the panels, which are really, really cool to do, and we've done most of those panels, haven't we, Pat? At Assembly Required. But yeah, again, it's a great show, tons of dealers, and like the stuff that Brian does for the show, like the t-shirts, the merchandise, the custom exclusives and all that kind of stuff, is just next level. There's a real quality touch to everything. So yeah, we're really excited to be involved in that one again this year, and looking forward to November. We'll see you there, I guess.
Yes, and I guess that brings us to more of your shout-outs, right? I will segue right into that.
Thanks for segueing into my own shout-out.
I'm just going to do segues here at the end.
Can you just segue into every shout-out I have? As always, big shout-out to all the family and to my wonderful wife, Kate. Love you all. Big shout-out to Christopher Kelly for helping me out with a number of news stories this week. I truly appreciate your help, my good man. He's also a patron of the show, so shout-out to Chris and the fam. I know a lot of your boys are interested in the show as well, so shout out to those lads and all. Shout out to In Demand Toys for sending me another major blood. Much appreciated. Big shout out to Nick and Mass at In Demand Toys, way out there in Norwich, England. For those that have no idea where that is, tough nuts. Google it. Forgot to mention as well last episode that it's Pride Month, and so we went through we've done an entire weekly in this month, and I didn't mention it. So apologies. To rectify that, I'd like to show our support for the LGBTQ+ community, and I'd like to add that on the end of when we do every episode in this month. I'll be mentioning it. And also, to go along with that, and as we say every week, we stand with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying Stop Asian Hate, and will continue to do so. Follow the links in the description if you want more information or just want to do more to help. And again, as always, to our patrons, listeners and viewers, we appreciate all of the support and everything you guys do for us. And yeah, so that's it really. Pat, mate, we've come to the end of another weekly. A long weekly.
Have fun editing.
I will not, and you can't change that from happening. What's hilarious about this one is that we got halfway through and I decided this is going to have to be 2 episodes. Justin's going to have to get cut out, thrown to the wolves, thrown to the timbers elsewhere. And hopefully my editing job at the beginning won't sound too clunky when I cut his name out as well. Oh well, what are you going to do?
That's okay. Yeah, I just kind of put myself on mute and went and did some other things. Prepared myself for going away in a couple of weeks.
Can I just add as well, this will make more sense when you watch the movie version of the episode, but Justin just said, I added Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes to my cart at Robot Kingdom. They saw the $42 shipping charge and noped right out. But now I have the itch. It's your fault, McLeod. It's been like 2 whole weeks since I got a new classified figure. I need more. So there you go. If you've watched the movie show, you'll understand what that all means. So shout out to Justin Bell, who's completely screwed on
the teaser for the movie, or it's like a callback to the episode that maybe somebody's already seen. I don't know which.
That's going to be for future. So that's happening shortly after this weekly. Depending on how quick I can edit everything. I'm going to be up late tonight. I can already sense it. This is your fault, Pat.
Sure, I'll take the blame. That's fine. I did ramble on a long time.
So much
about flying plowlets.
Flying plowlets. Yeah, no, I'm only kidding. This is good content. It's all gold. And with that said, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick, Notpicard Stewart. See you next time. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you watch the movie show, you'll know that Pat did that on mute with and not on screen as well, which was hilarious. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks again. It's been always good.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.